like, how do I get sponsored? I'm like, take your time. Get so good at something that people come to you.
Right.
If you're that good, they will find you.
What's up, guys? David Moss Jr. here from the DMJR Podcast, and today I have a very special guest. This is one of my best friends, four-time Wakeboard World Champion, video game creator, American Ninja Warrior, and just all-around amazing human being. This is Shaun Murray. Shaun, welcome to my show.
Hey, well, thanks for having me, Dave. And yeah, we go way back.
Way back.
And it's fun just to kind of live life, have our families grow up together, and days like today where we get to work out in the backyard,
awesome.
Play on the water, and then just talk about how do we get here and where are we going.
Absolutely, man. And that's kind of, maybe that's something we should talk about today. I was really curious to hear because we've known each other for a long time. I want to say I was 15 when I met you at OWC. I was a goofy little wake skater back then, and what I love about Shaun is he has fun everywhere he goes. Like we had so much fun. I remember just watching you, and I was starstruck, obviously, because it's Shaun Murray. I mean, I played your video game. I watched you on every video that ever came out, every magazine. You made so many covers, and it was just you always had fun when you were riding on the water, and really anything. I think snowboarding and life.
I like to have fun at whatever I'm doing, and there's the ways that I go about it a lot of times are challenges. Today I went out and rode. We didn't put any weight into the boat, which means that the wake is not going to be super big. And so I find little challenges for myself. So things that you don't realize I'm doing, I'm like, oh, I wonder if I could do this today, or I wonder if I could do that. And it's the same thing. If you give me like a tennis ball and a bucket, we're going to figure out how to make a game out of it. And that's just been my life.
I love it. And we've had a lot of those experiences with our families together where we'll do events together, and let's have fun. Let's find a game. I remember the game we played at one of the David Moss Foundation events. We were at the pool. All of our families were together. And what was the game called?
What are the chances?
What are the chances?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good one.
That
Y'all
was
need
so
to play
fun.
that.
And we recruited people. We recruited everybody to come and try, and like it was just cool to see other people who are typically like in a shell, just coming out of their shell, and they're asking strangers to put suntan lotion on their back at night. Like, what are the chances? It was so fun.
So something that I really like doing, because I coach a lot. I've coached wakeboarding as long as I've been doing it professionally. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to show people that they have abilities within them they didn't know existed. Whether it's a musical ability, showing people that almost anyone can play a uke, like a ukulele.
You taught me. That's the reason I haven't progressed, but the reason I have ukuleles at the house and that band uke is because of you.
I love showing you, like, hey, did you know you could do this? Like, I don't know. Let me show you something. So I really enjoy showing people they have abilities they didn't know they had. And
you're really good at that. And I mean, even today, we were doing a workout here, and I was trying things that I had never tried before, like swinging on your rope around that tree. And it's cool. You're very encouraging. And I think that's one of the things that's always attracted me to you, and I've always wanted to spend time with you, is every time I'm with you, I do something new. Like today behind the boat. First time I ever did a transfer on the foil. I never thought I would be doing that, just because I know my limitations on the foil.
You picked it up quickly, but I've been teaching people to foil and kind of picked up some things on, hey, here's how to progress in that. You did it very quickly. And foiling, that's a whole nother story because it's super fun.
It's super fun. I mean, everything from wake skating to wakeboarding to foiling. What's next?
I don't know. Foiling right now is definitely my passion, and showing people how to foil, because it's flying in the water. Like, it's a whole different experience. But my wakeboarding days started before it was even called wakeboarding. I started on what was called the scurfer, and the foils were actually predate to that. And I did some content on my YouTube channel of where did foiling come from. But my time on the water started on water skis, and then a scurfer, which turned into a ski board. And then it became my profession at 19 years old.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And never look
now
back.
I'm 22.
And now you're 22. It's only been 3 short years.
47.
You're 47. And you're in great shape, and you stay active. And I think that's there's a quote that I heard, I'm probably going to mess it up, but it's like, you don't stop playing because you get older. You get older because you stop playing.
Yep.
I don't think you're ever going to get older, bro.
Yeah, we don't grow old because we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow because we stop playing. And it's true.
It's so true.
And I think so much of it, as we get older, we don't continue to play. And as kids, it's like we're cross-training from, let's go to the swimming pool, now let's go to the rope swing, and now let's go and play wall ball, and let's play baseball, and whatever. We're going from one activity to the next. And as adults, as soon as you get into after high school and college, it's just schedule time. But honestly, nowadays, every sport seems like every parent thinks their kid is going to be the next thing. in that sport to the point where it looks like they're not having fun in it. They're practicing 4 hours every day of the week, super serious at the games. Kids are crying when they don't do well. Like, I want kids to just get back to the fun of just challenges and joy. So my kids don't wakeboard a ton. They do some. They wake surf, getting into foiling, but hey, let's just keep it fun. This isn't about getting sponsors and winning contests.
I love that you said that, because I agree with that. I see so many families that are just gung-ho. My kid's born a baby and now he's going to be the best at this, or she's going to be the best at this, and they just like pour all their energy into trying to make their kid the next best thing, and then there's no fun involved. And when there's no fun involved, then they typically fall out of love with it. And when they fall out of love with it, how are you supposed to compete at a high level, even if it worked out for a long period of time, if you don't love something?
And the way that I see that kind of summed up, and I've learned this through coaching people a lot, and I ask them, like, why do you do what you do? It could be wakeboarding, it could be your work, it could be podcast, whatever it is. We originally start almost anything that we want to do because we're going to look for some kind of fun or joy in that thing. And that is like, okay, that's my destination, what I'm going towards. And we can have good days, bad days, frustrating moments, or whatever, but the things that we gravitate towards are the things that we feel like we're doing well at them, but also that people react well to them, right? If you get up wakeboarding, people are like, oh, good job. You're like, number one, I got up. That was awesome. That's fun. I'm riding on top of the water. And number two, people are giving me some high fives and things like that. And you're like, that's the ultimate experience.
Right.
But what happens is those reactions start to take a front seat and the joy's in the back, so that if we get good reactions, then we have a good time. So we tend to base our experience upon people's reactions. The mistake with that is we're essentially handing someone our joy in hopes of getting it back. They're not asking for it. They're not sitting in the boat going, entertain me, right? It seems like my job when I go wakeboarding is to entertain people. That's not my goal. My goal is to go have some sort of fun. If people react well, awesome. If they don't, you know, whatever. I still got to go out and have a fun time.
Absolutely.
So that's why when kids are like, how do I get sponsored? I'm like, take your time. Get so good at something that people come to you.
Right.
If you're that good, they will find you.
Absolutely.
Right? So just keep doing it, because you like that search for progression, that search for the community, whatever it is. It's going to change from day to day in a lot of different hobbies and occupations. But find your experience, find the fun in your experience. So I remind myself, I tell others, don't be a performer, be an experiencer.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And you see a lot of that on social media nowadays, where and a lot of doctors and people in the health industry are talking about the dopamine effect of social media and getting that high five when you land a new trick or do something. We crave that dopamine hit as human beings. We need it. Yeah. You know, like when you try something new and you do it for the first time and everyone's telling you want to try it again. Like my forearms were completely gassed after our workout today, to where I could not make a fist. But I wanted to keep trying this rope swing around. I just wanted to keep trying it, to the point where my hands wouldn't even work anymore, just because I loved that feeling.
That's gonna happen. I've never crossfitted.
Crossfitted. That's crossfat.
Crossfitted.
Ooh.
I've never done CrossFit before, but I told you today I'm gonna go do it.
Let's do it.
And it's gonna happen where my legs are gonna get cooked or whatever. When you haven't done something, it's definitely a change up. But that's the fun thing. The reason I like this is it's about goals and efficiency and movement. Because I built this because I want to swing around like a monkey.
I love it.
I just want to be light on my feet. And
did you build this before you went on American Ninja Warrior?
I did.
How cool is that?
It was because I had this feeling. I was running across a piece of my property. I'm like, I feel like I want to run up a ramp, grab a bar, and then swing to the next thing. So like that ramp that goes up, that was the first thing I built.
Wow.
Jumped, grabbed the bar, and we built that. And I was like, well, now what? And we put another bar and another bar. And so it just kind of grew, and it was something that just organically grew up.
It was so cool. And I was here one time where you had an actual warped wall.
Yes.
American Ninja Warrior, right?
Yes.
That was
but
awesome.
Then that branch snapped during just a freak windstorm, and it smashed the wall down.
Oh man,
so
that's a bummer.
Yeah,
because that was a lot of work, I'm sure, to build.
Yeah, but it was fun. I got the plans online, so one day I'm sitting inside, and I see the show come on, and I Google it, American Ninja Warrior, and it said you could apply. I was like, whoa, weird. So I applied, and I got on. And
wow.
It was a crazy experience, super fun, different than you think. But the one thing that I always wondered was, every time I watched a show, my hands would get sweaty.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if I went and did the show, if my hands would get sweaty. Totally do.
Yeah, totally do.
If when I was on there, like one of my best runs, you can see it on YouTube, is when I was in Orlando. It was like 2015 or something like that. And halfway through, I had to pull myself up onto a bar and wipe my hands off. It was also because it was like 2:30 in the morning in Orlando.
It was 2:30 in the morning?
Yeah, that's what you don't understand. Like, I didn't know until I went on the show, is that they film all through the night so they can edit the show however they want.
Oh my goodness.
It's in the dark. And
well, I'm glad I didn't go on it then. Because there was a time around that same period that I had built a very similar, not this big, a very similar setup in my backyard, because I knew how important grip strength was to longevity, and that was when I started my adventure into health and really trying to not die young. And grip strength is one of those major metrics to longevity. Dr. Peter Attia talks about it all the time. And
I didn't know that.
And I didn't know him back then, but he talks about it a lot now, confirming how I felt back then about grip strength being super important. Simple things that I've seen, I'm like, hey, that makes sense. Maybe I need to work on grip strength. So built a salmon ladder, built some laches, all that fun stuff, and had a great time. And I had thought about applying for American Ninja Warrior back then, and I never did. I got scared, didn't want to try that new experience. I should have. You know, as I've gotten older, I've definitely thrown myself into new experiences, this YouTube and podcast being one of them, you know, just throwing myself into new experience, challenging, editing, filming, using different equipment, trying new things.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's fun to learn.
It's fun.
But the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know, but you don't need to know a ton. People think like if you want to do something like this, you have to go buy all the best equipment and get all these different things. You can, but it can be pretty simplistic.
Super simple. I'll give you a quick example for me. I started my entire YouTube channel from only my cell phone.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I used.
Yeah.
My iPhone with iMovie editing.
That's great.
And guess what I use today? My cell phone.
Yeah.
iMovie editing. You don't have to use anything crazy.
You know, a lot of wakeboarders reach out to me and they're like, hey, I want to start a channel. What should I do? What equipment? What camera should I get? I'm like, it's actually more about habits.
Yes.
It's about habits. It's about learning some of the structure of how to do this. You can go spend all the money and get all the equipment, but if you don't establish those habits and just learn some basics, it doesn't matter what equipment you have. So save the money, put a little bit more time into it, and just learn about it. So I say use your phone, maybe a GoPro for when you get out in the water.
Right.
And that's it.
And just get started. I mean, if somebody wanted to start a channel today, when did you start your YouTube channel?
It was, I think, in like 2016.
Yeah, you've had it for a bit.
But it was really because it was when Instagram went from 15 seconds to 60 seconds. And I was like, oh, now I can do like little, like a vlog, but it's more day in the life, was how it was titled back then. But I found myself jamming as much as I could into 60 seconds. And I was like, man, I'm cutting out so many like fun moments. I want to just open the parameters on how long these things are, and I need to park them somewhere. So it was either going to be on Facebook or on YouTube. And I was like, I guess I'll go park it on YouTube, but I don't really want to be a YouTuber because I don't need another plate to spin because of all the companies and things that I've been doing. And,
right.
But I really enjoyed the process and just kind of kept at it and give myself some goals, and so that's how I've established it. But that's how I started originally in wakeboarding. When I was in college, I was at Florida Southern down in Lakeland, and I was there for a year, and I was going into my third semester, and I had just picked up a sponsor. I picked up Hyperlight, and I was getting ready for the Worlds, and it was hard to be at school and train for this professional competition I was trying to do well at. I just realized, like, wow, I could actually maybe not win one of these things, but I could do well at them. And so I was kind of in this mix of school and training. And going into the Worlds, I did decently, but I was like, I think I can do better. And I asked my parents, and specifically my dad, hey, could I take a semester off school? He said, you can, but we're going to set some goals. And so we had some, not just like, hey, do good, be better, and maybe pick up some sponsors. It was, you need to get, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, you need to get top 3 finished top 3 finish at 2 tour stops. You need to be top 10 for the year. You need to pick up 2 sponsors by this date. And so you give yourself a little bit more of a target to aim for. And so riding consistently, I started traveling around to the boat shows just before my sponsors requested them. And so really started to give myself some goals. And that's how I've that's how I've continued to be in life, is I have goals. I have a handwritten to-do list next to my computer that I have things daily and short term and long term.
It's awesome. I'm learning so much, and these are practical. This is practical advice for really anybody out there. It doesn't have to be a pro wakeboarder, professional athlete, just anybody. We have to set goals. I always called it the carrot. I've always said I need another carrot to chase after, a goal. Mm-hmm. But I need something in front of me that I can chase after as a goal. And when I started my YouTube channel, kind of the same thing. I originally started in 2020. I've only had it since 2020. And my original goal was, I was in the car business full time back then. And my main goal was I needed to have some long form walkarounds of product that I could share with customers, because this is when COVID was happening. Mm-hmm. And we thought we were going to be shut down and I wasn't going to be able to actually do walkarounds and actually show customers.
So you're adapting to.
So we were trying to adapt. Yeah. And I felt like it would be better for me as the vice president of the store to do a walk around on a car than to just send a random person off of YouTube's review to our customers. So I started doing that. I did it on our core products. And COVID didn't shut us down, and we ended up selling out of cars. So I was like, okay, well, I have this whole YouTube channel now. I've learned how to set it up. I've learned how to film, edit, post, publish, do all that fun stuff. And then I started just shooting home videos with my kids, random things that we would do, kind of long form home videos, because we don't have VCRs anymore. Chicken coop build,
ice baths,
and then it transitioned into, I've always loved health, fitness, wellness, recovery, just living life.
Give me 3. You're always up front, always looking for like the best way to maximize health, and so I'm always impressed with the knowledge that you have. Give me 3 things that if you're to tell me or tell anyone, 3 things if you're like, hey, if you could just, and it's not crazy life change.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're only going to eat egg yolks from here on out. Like, we're not going to do that.
You did that today.
I ate an egg yolk.
That was great.
But
you don't have to do that.
But if you were to tell people 3 things, sounds like ice baths are a pretty, up there. What would be 3 things to improve my health? And
so I'll answer that question. The first thing I would do as soon as you get up, if you have a time that you have to wake up or a time that you want to wake up, the first thing I would do as soon as you wake up is move and get outside. Have your barefoot touch the grass. The sun's probably not even going to be up yet, but one of the biggest things that's changed my life over the past few years is every morning, no matter what time I get up, I get outside immediately. I get my feet connected to the earth. And when the sun is coming up, I make sure I get the morning sunlight on my face, on my eyes. I know it sounds like some gypsy voodoo stuff, but it has helped.
Is that grounding?
It's called grounding, yeah, and morning sunlight. It has helped set up my circadian rhythm. I go to sleep so easily. I can't tell you the last time I've struggled to go to sleep since I started including this in my life. And sleep sets up your following day. So we want to maximize or
kick off
the day
with feet and sunlight.
Kick off the day, get outside, put your bare feet on the ground, and you don't have to be out there for a long period of time. I'm also interested in the stuff that takes shorter amounts of time. So I love saunas. It's not something I would highly recommend to anybody as one of the top 3, but I love sauna therapy. You need to be in that sauna for 15 to 20 minutes. You need to try to get an hour a week is the goal of an extremely hot sauna. And there's so many benefits to a sauna. I love sauna and I use sauna regularly, but you can get a very similar effect, the opposite, but a very similar effect on your body and health getting into an ice bath.
Okay.
Get into an ice bath for 2 to 4 minutes. 3 is that sweet spot, but 2 to 4 minutes, something under 60 degrees. It doesn't have to be ice. It doesn't have to be 30 degrees like a lot of these influencers are talking about now. To me, the ideal temperature is 44 degrees, and I do that for 3 minutes. And I do them multiple times a day now. So my morning routine is I get up, I go outside, I'm barefoot, I look up at the stars. I also really try to adapt my eyes to things that are further away. So our eyes need to look far away. Our eyes need to look at the tree line up ahead, but we're so used to this, putting our phones in our face, and very close proximities. Our eyes' health has also plummeted, but it's because we don't look ahead very often. We don't look far away. So like just getting outside and looking at the clouds, looking at the stars, seems like something also really silly, but I do that in the morning. And then also before the sun's up, I get in the ice bath. That's one of the first things that I do most mornings. And no, it's not because it's some millionaire, billionaire's routine, like you see a bunch of people advertising that, but it absolutely kickstarts your day, and you do something that you know is gonna suck, and you know is gonna be hard, and you know is gonna take your breath away, and you get it done first thing in the morning. It really just sets the rest of your day up for success. So morning sun or grounding, ice baths. And then the last thing I would do is really try to, something that I've really tried to do is drink quality water, but eat quality nutrition. Like for me, if I'm in a pinch, I have chickens just like you do, and if I'm in a pinch and I need something, I would rather go eat a raw egg yolk than put a piece of toast in the toaster and eat toast. I'd rather eat a few raw egg yolks because there's so much more nutrition in that is going to be beneficial for my body than a piece of toast or a goldfish or something that's more of a snack. So those would be the top three things I would say. Get outside, be barefoot as often as possible, get that morning sunlight before 10 a.m. every day if you can, and get in the ice baths. I feel like that's kind of my hat here says I like to get cold. I feel like everyone needs to know that. And then eat quality nutrition, drink quality water.
I think that fueling ourselves is one of the most important things, because
for sure.
if we don't have the right fuel, we're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
Same thing with our vehicles. We know if we don't put fuel into it, especially the right thing,
Exactly.
it's not going anywhere. And so too often I think people don't, it's just like, I don't have time for that. If you don't have time for that, you're not going to have time for anything. And so the right kind of diet. And we have to be crazy with our diet, but just intentional in some way. So I think diet is really, really big. I think also play is very big.
Absolutely. I love that. Play.
And I think that so much of our physical health is attached to our mental health,
right,
and also for our spiritual health. So I think those things are, so I think we need to start, one of the things that we can do is be physically active, right? Sometimes we can't mentally force ourselves into a good headspace.
Right.
You can physically force yourself to go do something, which then helps your head. How much better you feel after you leave the gym or after some sort of sport? Because the things that are firing in there, all these different chemicals that get fired off. So I think those are very important. And
I would agree with those.
Yeah.
I read a quote, I don't know who said it, so if you said it, please let me know. And it was, so many people say they'd be willing to die for their family. Like, I would take a bullet for my wife, I would take a bullet for my kids. But those same people, if you polled that same amount of people, how many of them would be willing to get healthy for them? You know, and when I read that, it was like, that's so true. I have so many friends and I know so many people who would easily, quickly say, I would die for my family, but they're just poisoning themselves every single day, and it's just sad.
It's actually kind of a little bit of a balancing act that we walk, because we want to make sure that as dads, we are providing a safe environment, just security and a future. And so we spend so much time setting up our homes and our work and essentially taking care of others. And we kind of a lot of times put ourselves way down on the list.
So true.
And it seems like it's almost, it's being selfish to go do these things for ourselves, but we do need to be intentional with taking care of ourselves. And one thing that I want to improve is my flexibility. So it's not to go down a big road of that, but I do think that our flexibility has a massive thing to do with how we feel, how we play. Because getting down on the ground with my kids and playing and on the trampoline and has so much to do with that. So something that I think also is kind of important. Somebody taught me this a long time ago, and it has to do with being a dad to our kids. And it's a very small, practical thing to do. It's tough sometimes to be intentional in this way, but anytime that you come home from being gone, whether it's at work, a trip, or whatever, and you're going to see your kids for the first time that day, or they've been at school or whatever, come into the house empty-handed so you can pick them up, or if they're too big, just give them a hug. Don't come in holding things, because those things will take precedence over that physical contact with your kids. So when I come in, I try to make sure that I come in empty-handed. I'm saying it so that I also keep myself accountable.
I love it, man. Well, I absolutely my love language is physical touch, as you know. Like I'm a hugger, I'm a high fiver. I get in your space. I have to hug my kids. I have to hug my wife. Even if they have their hands filled with something, I just have to just give them a big old bear hug and pick them up. And hopefully that never changes. But that is great practical advice, because I do feel like we're connected humans. We need to connect, you know, and physical touch is a big part of our connection and our communication. We have kind of set boundaries like that's bad and we should stay a distance away. But truthfully, we need physical touch. We need to be connected to, especially the people who are important to us.
Yes.
I
So
love
it rather than being like, okay, so I don't have to come back out to the car, go in empty-handed and be like, hey, can you come out and help me grab some stuff out of the car? And then so you have a couple good moments with them.
I love it, man. That's some great advice.
You're really good at being intentional with your kids. What would be just one thing, and it's not to put you on the spot a little bit, what's one thing that I can take away, that people can take away as far as like being a dad, being intentional? You spend some really good time with your kids, like, or your wife.
So I'm going to say something that everyone's going to think is super cliche and easy to say and hard to do, but like, my kids are my best friends. I treat them like that. I know Wyatt's only 3 years old, but I treat him like he's my 35-year-old best friend. Like I talk to him. I don't talk to him in baby talk. I never really talk to my kids in baby talk. I talk to them about real life things. I ask them how their day is going, and I actually listen, and I try to help them through things. But truthfully, like, the best advice I've given myself is like, continuously treat your wife and your kids or your spouse like they're your best friends. Don't take them for granted like you do sometimes your best friends, but they're your best friends. Like, they should get your attention. They should get your energy. They should get your love. They should get your affection. You know, and
share those thoughts, like those best friends you have in life, that, you know, because we'll have some good deep conversations, encourage each other, whatever, but have those moments with your family.
Have those moments with your family. Don't take them for granted just because they're there.
Yeah.
You know, there's no return policy on your family, but
no, that's good.
We shouldn't even think that way.
Yeah.
You know, they're there. They're gonna be there, and there might be a time where they're not. There might be a time where they either they depart or they leave, and they go and spread their wings and fly, and you're gonna miss that time. You know, so it's super important to spend as much time, intentional time, and have intentional conversations with your family, your spouse, your kids. It's super important. That's something that you've always done, and I've always loved that about you.
Cool. Well, I try to be intentional. Sometimes we have these aspirations, like, today I'm really going to have some good moments, and then it just doesn't come to fruition. And you're like, oh, that did not go how I planned. I need to do better next time. So it's not to, you know, be so hard on ourselves, but to see opportunities.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna say silly things that we shouldn't have said. I do it all the time. I'm kind of like an open book. I talk about things I shouldn't talk about. But, you know, the cool thing too, and advice is, like, don't put on a front with your kids that you're perfect and you've never made a mistake. My kids know that me and my wife both have made a lot of mistakes, and we ask them for forgiveness. Sometimes we snap.
Like, being able to ask for forgiveness, like, is really important, because you, number one, need to practice it, but you got to show your kids how to do that.
Absolutely.
Like, absolutely.
They're going to learn everything from us. They're going to learn our habits. They're going to follow in line. Like you were saying, your kids you don't force them to wakeboard or force them to get out there on the water, but I've seen Hayden, she enjoys it, man. Like, your kids love it. Yeah. And they love it because it's available for them, it's there, but it's not pushed. And truthfully, I think that's going to make for some really powerful kids, as they already are.
Liv, my 8-year-old, she's like my little buddy, because the older ones, a lot of times they'll go off and they have other activities going on, and so we're here together. We've started playing one-wheel tag.
One-wheel tag on a one-wheel?
Yeah, so she's on the Pine, I'm on the XR, and we go around here and try to tag each other.
That's
fun.
I want to see.
Gets a little sketchy sometimes.
I want to see video of that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap up this episode of the DMJR Podcast. Shaun, thank you so much, man. Thanks for the time together today. I love having conversations with you. We could sit here and talk for hours and hours and hours. I'm going to encourage you, all of our watchers and listeners, to find Shaun Murray on Instagram and find him on YouTube and follow his page. It's fun. Everything we talked about today you will see, so make sure you check that out. Appreciate you guys for watching and listening and tuning in, and we will see you guys on the next video. Have a great day, guys. God bless. Dude, I hope I hit record.
If you didn't, we had a great conversation.
We had a great conversation.